Hi, everyone. Welcome to WriterDuet's Tips and Tricks. My name is Hannah. I'm part of the support team here at WriterDuet. And my co-host here is Spencer. I'll let him say hi and introduce himself.
Hey, everyone. Hope you're doing well. We're getting excited for you.
So tonight we're really excited to cover some newer content. Not new to WriterDuet. It's been with WriterDuet since the inception. But newer to our tips and tricks, and that is sharing and collaboration and really collaborating with confidence. So we're going to cover how you can share your project with others, all the options that you have, and then also a lot of your tools that you have at your fingertips when you are collaborating with other writers in WriterDuet, especially some revisions and comments and all of that stuff. So really excited to share all of that with you tonight. For those who are maybe just tuning in, or, well, you're all just tuning in. That was a silly comment. Anyways, if you have any questions or silly comments, please feel free to leave them in the comment section here on Facebook Live. And Spencer will feed those to me throughout the evening. So we have it kind of scheduled out that we stop at certain points so we can go over all of those questions. So just feel free to throw them in the comments whenever, and we will get to them throughout the evening tonight. So yay. All right, let's get started with some sharing and collaboration stuff here. Share my screen so everyone can see. Awesome sauce. So starting in a fresh, clean project here, and like how we always like to start our evening is talking about kind of just the basics of projects in WriterDuet. And as I say every evening, I like to think of projects as a cocoon that all of your content for that project or that story live in. So inside of your project, you're always going to find three main documents. You're going to have your default document, which is what we would consider your script or the main body of your project. You have your title page, and then you have this private pad, which is where you can leave your notes and such. If you collaborate with somebody, which we're going to see tonight, then they can see everything in this project except for that private pad, and they'll have their own little private pad in their project. You have control, of course, over the title and the author, and the great thing is that this information syncs to your title page. So if I change this here to title of project, it's a really great script. Then I open my title page here, then that has synced and I don't have to go in and change in that information. I can do so later on down here. So actually today, what we're going to work on is, oh, hey, we're live. We're live in WriterDuet and Facebook. Did you know, Spencer, that we're live on Facebook?
It worked. We did it.
Yes. Okay. A little meta there for us. So we're going to start by importing a project that has already been created. So, you know, your collaboration process may look different across the board, but a lot of times you might already have a project going and you're ready. You've reached this point where you're like, I'm ready to start having somebody do some edits or some writing along with me. So we're going to import a script that's already been created and could use a little assistance, a little collaboration. The nice thing is this project was a PDF and it imports like that. And this was written where, Spencer? Where did you say you wrote this in?
This project that was imported was originally written in Celtex a couple years ago, and now any file and we can import from Celtex files as well too. If you go to File Export Document and you see all the different file types that are listed as exportable file types, those same file types are compatible whenever you're importing into WriterDuet as well. So PDF, Final Draft, Fountains, Celtex, Word docs, all those different file types are available to be imported into WriterDuet as well, into a brand new project.
It's great. It works like a charm. Okay, so you have a couple of different ways that you can go about sharing, really just different ways that you can access the sharing options. You have this share option just above your script. You have the share widget on the left, and you have the share option in the menu above. If you are like, I'm not seeing this display In front of you, I am actually in what's called the hybrid layout. This is my personal preference. The simplified layout is the default one. So as soon as you log in, this is the layout that you're brought to. But if you like to have this top menu bar, hybrid is a good option. Classic is another one that has this top menu bar. So something to note is sharing is available with a Plus subscription and the Pro and the Premium. As a free user, you can share your project, but they're read only. So you can share it with somebody so that they can read your work. But if you're looking to have some like real-time live collaboration, you're gonna need that Plus subscription, which is only $5.99 a month. So $59.99 for the year, or $7.99 a month for a monthly subscription, which is awesome. So I have the share widget here, which allows me to invite a collaborator, or I can create a shareable link. If I open the share option here, it's going to give me the same menu options. If I open share and then share project from the menu up here, same exact options. So I'm actually going to invite Spencer to join this project, and I just click that little plus mark there and I type in his email. Oh, there it is, WriterDuet.com. And so then he'll get an email invite to his WriterDuet email, and he'll also get an in-app notification about it. If he's logged in, if he's already created an account, or if he logs back in, he'll get that notification. Oop, gotta send the invite, silly me. I got halfway through my process and then stopped. So I'll wait for Spencer to join that project. If you're looking to do a shareable link, you can add that through here, and you just click to copy the link. And you have a few options here with that shareable link. You can give permissions to whoever uses that link to share, to edit, to require manual updates, which I'll talk about in just a moment. And then this multi-use one is specific if you are, let's say you're sending this link to a group of collaborators, then you want to make sure that you check the box for multi-use so that everyone in that group can use that link. Otherwise, it's a one-time only link. And so then you'd have to send a different link each time. Or of course, you can just add each collaborator individually. But a link is great if you're like, I need these people to possibly join the project, and they don't have to unless they want to. Make sure you just make it a multi-use and then paste that in there.
Hey, sorry, Hannah, I got a little distracted with some of the comments here in Facebook. Could you mind just sending me the multi-use shareable link so I can join the project instead?
Indeed, indeed I can. Send that right over to you. Apologize. I may have entered the wrong email, and that's on me for doing that. I got sidetracked, too many things going on. Okay. So in your collaborator options here, you do have the ability to edit their permissions as well. So you can give them a permission to share the project as well. They automatically have editing permissions unless you would like to change that and you just want to make them read only. And this requires manual updates is what will create, or what will make them what's called a static collaborator. And that means that they can make edits to the document, but their edits will not be part of the live document unless you make them so. So you would use this in tandem with what we'll cover later on tonight, which is the accept and reject changes. And so if you want somebody to make changes to the document, but you want to check everything before it affects the actual document, then you can use this requires manual updates. But this is really only when you know for sure that you don't want to see what they're doing until they say that they're done. This is the most common way of collaborating. You can see their work happening as they do it. Even if, like, Spencer, if you can go ahead and like change that first action line, the one that says 2 roommates, and do something to it and it'll change for us. Boom. So whatever he does is going to happen right there in the moment. So you can change a collaborator's permissions at any time if you would like to. You can also remove a collaborator when you would like them off of your project. You can also share from your portfolio. So you have the same share options visible in the portfolio, and you can also just right-click on something in the portfolio and invite from there. and it'll give you the same inviting process from the portfolio, which is fantastic. I do want to share, let's say that you have been invited to a project. If you're a free user, a plus user, pro, whatever, it doesn't matter what your subscription is, you can join any project without any limitations. So even though as like a free user, you've got a 3 project maximum, that doesn't affect the number of projects that you're able to join. So if you're in a writing group and only one of the people in the group has a plus subscription and they're the one that's sharing out all of these projects, awesome. They're the only one that needs to do it. Everybody else in the writing group can just have that free subscription and join those projects, and then you can collaborate. It will affect, if you're on a free, it will affect your ability to use certain tools within the app, but in order to join projects, you've got no limits on that. So if I get an email invitation to a project, this is what it's going to look like. It'll show up in my inbox from WriterDuet notification, new project invitation, and then this is all that's in the email right here. And so I'm just going to click this link and it'll let me join that project. So it'll pop up in another window here and it'll prompt me to join, and I join the project. And there I am in this lovely coffee shop scene. I'm in the project. Awesome. Okay. Something else that you can do in terms of sharing is to email a document. So let's say, for example, that you want to share your work with somebody, but you don't necessarily want to give them permission to edit your project, or they don't want to, access it in WriterDuet. They want to access it from their email, whatever it is. You can email your document directly from within the app. Go up to share and go to email document. And the feature that I love about email document and WriterDuet is that you can create lists and save them. So generate email lists and save them. I've worked as a stage manager in the past, and that's always been like the biggest thing in terms of communication with a production team, is that you've got different groups of people that you're communicating with at different times. And that could very well be the case when you're collaborating a project and you're going through edits. And so you've got certain people you're talking to about edits versus rewrites and so forth. So you can create a list here and you can name that list. If I just want to say Collaborators, and then I can enter their emails here, and then I can enter their names and I add them to the list, and I can select, what document I want. The document type is not going to be saved to your email list. The email list is only going to save the contact information, so you'll need to check which document you would like each time. But you can say a PDF copy, and then you can type in a message. Let me know your thoughts. And then you can send that off. Another great thing is, let's say you've created email lists in other projects and you're using that same team of people in this new project. You can look for email lists from other projects so that you can use that. I think this is a really great feature. Makes it super quick to just email things directly from within the app. You can, of course, export any file format that you need and do that through your direct email if you prefer. But these are both great options in order to get a document out to somebody that is not directly within the app. We sped through that a lot faster than I anticipated, Spencer. Do we have any questions regarding sharing? Any queries?
I'm not seeing any particular about sharing. I did put in the comments a link to our knowledge base article about inviting collaborators to projects. So if you ever need a recap of everything we cover here, not only would this video be saved forevermore on the Facebook page for WriterDuet, the live section, you can also check out that knowledge base article. And just in general, we're going to be sending out a couple different knowledge base articles. The knowledge base is an excellent, excellent, excellent resource to reference for any sort of thing you have questions about. Whether it be sharing, collaborating, or any other features throughout the app. So we definitely recommend you can go to the homepage of the knowledge base from that article that we just put there in the comments. But I'm not seeing any particular questions about sharing in particular. You could, Hannah kind of covered it, but you can go through that share icon on the left sidebar, and as well as the menu option through share. There's so many places to share your project.
Share your work, write with people, collaborate. It's so essential, I feel like. allow yourself some time to get out of your own head and get out of your own way as a writer. That's the hardest part.
And as we're going to cover tonight too, in terms of like a script you've worked on that you're now bringing somebody on to join and work on with revisions and things like that. As a writer myself, I think about how valuable that is to making something better. I think that's the important thing for us with collaboration using this cloud-based app, is to really make sure you get out of your comfort zone to work with other people to make the best possible story. You'll be surprised how much better it can be when you have other people join and help elevate it with you. So I'm excited to get into this stuff today.
Yes, more brains make things better, I think. For anyone who's joined us in the last couple of minutes, we're covering sharing and collaboration tonight. If you have any questions at any time, whether it's about what we're covering or it's just another burning question that you're like, oh, I keep forgetting to write into help@writerduet.com and ask them that question, feel free to leave it in the comments, and we have our designated times to cover any of those questions, and we'll be sure to do our best to get to everybody's questions. Okay. Now we're going to move on to the tools that you have at your fingertips when you are collaborating. The number one thing I would say is like the asset to any collaboration team in WriterDuet is your docs widget. Especially if you're working on a writing team, I can guarantee you're going to have multiple drafts. And the way that you keep track of all of those drafts is through this docs widget. Any document that you create within this project is going to live here, and you can rename them however you need to, and that way you can keep track of it. So if you're going to create new documents, you can do so by opening this toggle widget options icon here and select new document, and then select page. And then you can title this, maybe this is draft 2, and I want to create a new empty document, or I want to take the document we currently have in a new direction. So I can just copy the document that currently exists and say create. And now I have this draft 2 here in the docs widget, the default document, which is the original script. And then I have the draft 2. If I want to change the name of this, I indeed can. So I can say rename it, and I can say original script or original draft. And then it'll stay there, and we'll know that's the original draft. And now I've got this draft 2 hanging out in my docs widget. Something you'll notice, oh, I didn't mean to do that. Something you'll notice is that there's an icon over here on the original draft, and then there's an icon over here on the draft 2. So that's actually my user icon. And then this is Spencer's user icon. So this is the number one way to figure out who is where when you're collaborating together, is go to this docs widget and look at where their user icons are. And then you can see what project they're on. We get a question every now and then of like, we're not seeing the same stuff. And a lot of times what happens is you have 2 drafts of something, they look practically identical, right? And you're struggling to determine which version of the document you're on. Jump over to the docs widget, see where your icons are hitting. A little tangent here. I want to show you how you can change your user icon. So if you're in simplified, your user icon, you'll see it in the bottom left-hand corner here. And if you're in hybrid, you'll see it in this top right-hand corner. So you can click your user icon and then select account, and then select that little avatar right there. And you can choose any color that you like. You can have images or these little like icons here. You can do your initials, or you can select a photo and use a photo. So everybody likes a little customization every now and then, a little personalization of their accounts. So if you're like, how do I change my avatar? There you go. And I like the little sunshine thing for Amelia Delia. Okay, another great way to keep track of drafts and such when you're collaborating is through the time machine here. So the time machine, and we've covered this in some of our past tips and tricks, but this is where any save that you generate is going to show up as well. So it'll save to wherever it was supposed to, whether that's to the servers, or if you've also set an additional backup location, it'll save there as well. But any of those saves will show up in the time machine list right here. You can also create additional snapshots whenever you would like to. So to create a snapshot, you can click the toggle widget options and then create new snapshot. And it's like taking, I made this analogy the other day, but it's the best way I can think about it. It's like taking a before and an after shot. The snapshot is your before picture before you make any other changes to the document, so that this snapshot will always live in your time machine as long as the document exists. So I'm going to say this is original draft and create snapshot. So now I have this snapshot here and it lives, and I can always view it at any time. I can't do anything to it because it's just a picture. It's not really a picture, but it's just a snapshot of what that was. It's like looking back through your photo album at all the things you've done. So I can't edit it, but I can always access it whenever I want. So let's say your editing process is to take a snapshot so that that lives in your time machine, and then keep moving forward in your original document and making edits that you want. Or, let's see, I don't want to be in time machine anymore. I want to be on my regular draft. Or the other option that you can do is create a snapshot, and let's say that I want this to be draft 3, and I create the snapshot, and then I select these 3 dots and I say make a copy. And what this is going to do is make a copy of this snapshot as a document in my document list. So now if I go back to my docs widget, I can see that I have original draft 2, and then this copy, that I made of draft 2 on this date, which was created from a snapshot. And if I want, I can go in and I can rename this to draft 3. Oh no, the lights timed out again. This happened last time. Should I wave my arms like a crazy person?
We have the lamps though. We each brought lamps. This is, I'm very certain it's about to happen to me in a moment too. So very spooky into November, spooky October and spooky November.
You know, it wouldn't be a live event if something crazy didn't happen. Okay, so that's how you can kind of keep track of documents and such in your project. Make sure you use that docs widget to your advantage. It is, I say a lot of things in this app are your best friend, but really the whole app is your best friend. So just take advantage of everything in the app because it's so awesome. I wanted to share with you kind of what I consider the URL rule. And if you ever are collaborating with a co-writer and you think that you're viewing the same document, but you may not be, you can of course check the docs widget. You can also check the URL that you see up here in the top. And so if what you are seeing in your URL matches what they're seeing, then you can be sure that you're on the same document. If you experience any issues with that, of course, reach out to help@writerduet.com. We can help you out with that, but that's a great way to always double check things. But if your avatars are on that same document in the documents widget, then you're golden. You're golden.
And you'll notice too, I'm actually about to do it right now. I can toggle between the 2 documents, and that little green icon is going to move between draft 2 and the original draft. And then if I open draft 3 as another document in my editor, you can always close out of those documents at the very top part, kind of at the top of the screen where you see all Hannah's tabs there. That's not deleting them from WriterDuet. That's just removing them from being in the editor. If you want to open them again, as Hannah mentioned, the docs widget's your best friend. You can always go there, double click, open it back up and have it be in the editor. Helps clear the clutter of whenever you're just wanting to focus on one specific draft, or if you want to have draft 2 and 3 side by side to toggle between the 2 of them, super helpful. But like she said, checking that URL, making sure everyone in the project's on the same document as they're working by seeing their icon, it's going to be super helpful moving forward.
And if you're not a double clicker for any reason, there is the open option under the 3 little dots there. So if you're like, I just don't like double clicking, sure, you can open the other way. Close these documents here. We don't need all of these open. Okay, a really great tool when you're collaborating is the comments feature. So you can leave comments anywhere you need to in the document, and you have a couple of different things that you can also do with those comments as you're working, and they're gone. All of the lights are gone. So again, welcome to my studio.
WriterDuet after dark.
WriterDuet after dark, man. Comments, that's what we're talking about, comments. So to leave a comment, simply hover over the line that you would like to leave a comment on. So let's say I want to leave a comment on this line right here, then I'm just going to hover and then click the little comment bubble. And now I can leave whatever comment I like. Zap, it is such a great word. And then if I close that comment, the comment bubble is now solid all the way around the edges. And so I can open it again and see that comment, and then I can close it. And then if Spencer goes ahead and leaves a comment on the line, we'll see that pop up in just a moment. I can also leave a comment on a line and I can tag Spencer in it so that he's already pinged when a comment is left, but he will definitely be pinged if he's tagged in it. And you can change all those notifications. I'll actually show that in just a moment, where you can change some of those notifications about comments. But he will for sure be pinged, especially depending on his notifications. This is great. I'm
glad we just covered URL rule and where my profile icon should be, because I had a whole different product open. So I'm gonna go leave a comment now in the right document that I was supposed to. You're in the original doc, okay.
Yeah, I'm in the original OG. I'm in the OG draft. Maybe that's what I should rename it to, OG draft. And I should get a notification here. These are some comments he left earlier on another project. There we go, 829, the anger jar, comment by Spencer. So I can click that and it'll bring me to the comment. Or I can open it here. And so if I read the comment, I'm like, cool, whatever, then I can resolve it, or I can reply to the comment. Great question. And then maybe I want to resolve my own comment, and so then I can resolve it. Or I can remove a comment. Let's say I don't like what I said and I want to change it, then I can go back and edit. What's a better question? Whatever I need for comments there. So you have a lot of options here. You can comment on every single line in the script however you need to. I want to jump over to this script because it actually already includes a bunch of comments in it that we preloaded.
As well as the new one I just added by accident.
Yay, more comments. We have this lovely comments widget here that you can open on the sidebar. If you're in classic mode, you can access your comments through the second tab here on the right-hand widget area. So you can see all of the comments key. I'm going to switch back to hybrid. I prefer hybrid. So all of the comments are going to be listed here, but let's say that you want to filter some things. You only want to see certain comments. You only want to see resolved comments, whatever it may be. You have some options here as well. So you can change how things are sorted. So if you wanted to send them by the date that they were posted, then you can do that, or you can have them ascending by the line, so the order that they are in the script, or the reverse order that they are in the script. You can also have them organized by just the user. What's really great about this is if you're tagged, then you can use this to filter the ones that you're tagged in. What happened to the one you were tagged in? I tagged you in one earlier.
Maybe we were unresolved, because right now you just have show resolved.
There we go. So make sure that you have whatever option you want. That was my bad. I switched that earlier and I didn't switch it back. So you want to have unresolved comments, or whichever ones you're looking for. And close these widget options. There we go. And so this one that I tagged Spencer in earlier shows up here. Now it's not purple because I tagged him in it. It's purple for another reason, which I'll show you in just a second. But if he's tagged, it'll show up with all of the comments that he's left and any ones that he has been tagged in. If I want, I can just look at resolved ones. And so these are just the ones that have been resolved. I can look at ones that have been removed, which I haven't removed any. And if I deleted any lines, which we haven't from this script currently, but if I did delete any lines and those lines had comments on them, those still live in the history of the document, and so you can still access them here. You can also color code your comments. So that purple one that showed up for Spencer, what am I clicking? What's wrong with me? There we go. Okay. That colored one that showed up for Spencer is purple because I made it so. So I decided that that particular comment, the comment that I left was related to a prop. And so we as a team have decided any comment related to a prop is going to be color coded purple, so it's easy to identify like that. And so you can do that. You can color code your comments. The way to do that is hover over the comment itself and then select these three little dots. And you can, as you can see, edit or resolve or remove, or you can color that comment. And you have a selection of colors here that you can choose. And then you'll see that the icon itself will display as that color as a border. And then that option will display on that color here. And then you can also sort by color. So whatever colors you have assigned, they'll pop up in this list here. So I've only assigned purple for one comment for this whole document. And so that's the only color available, and that's the only comment in that color.
I think this is super useful, especially when if you're doing a production for this script, if you're not just doing the screenwriting part, but if you and a team are also going to be the ones producing that project, it's super useful to, as Hannah's mentioned, things like props, things like costumes, things like casting decisions. It helps you organize in your mind and with your team's mind to how you want to talk to each other. So whatever that process is, whether you're specifically thinking about casting, if you're specifically thinking about the production side of things, using those color commenting stuff can be super, super useful. There is no hardline way to do that. It's whatever you feel will be the best way to communicate those ideas quickly.
The other great thing in the comments widget is, and we've had this question before, is there's so many comments in my document. How do I locate all of them at once, and then how do I get to where they are located in the script really easily? And the great thing is, I'm not going to sort by me. You can sort the comments in this widget however you want, in whatever order you need, and then you can scroll through here. So why is Kristen Bell referenced? I don't know. Let's jump to it and see. And so then we can see that my response, I didn't reply directly to the comment, but I left a comment later on to his question of dream casting for Casey. I said, Kristen Bell. Kristen Bell. So that's a great way to just jump to each of those comments. I really like this quick list of comments. And you can even just hover over it and it'll show you what the line content is. So you don't have to jump to it in the script every time. You just hover over it and boom, you know what it's referring to. Any other things about comments before we move on to chat, Spencer? All right, so chat is what it says. It's chat. You can chat with your collaborators while you are writing directly within the app. There's no need to have like some Google chat hanging out on the side, or your phone, or some Zoom call hanging out over on the side. You can chat and even video chat all within the app. So you can open the chat through this comments and chat widget, click the collaborator that you would like to talk to, or you can do a group chat if you've got a whole bunch of collaborators. You could do one giant group chat that everyone is in on. It's telling me that sound displayed on new messages. If I have collaborated with somebody previously in another project, that chat exists for that person. It doesn't exist for the project. So I will always be able to see whatever chat I've had with that person from the beginning of time of my collaboration with them in WriterDuet. So these comments are from back in September, so long ago. And this is from him recently. It's a great film. If I could type, man. There we go. And then I can select this video option here, and it'll ping them to say that I would like to start a video call, and then they can join the video call. You will have to give your browser permission to use your camera and your microphone, just like any other video chat feature. But it's really crisp and clean and clear, and it works great. It's right here in the app, man. It's so fantastic. That is a lovely chat feature. The other great thing that you have in the chat feature is the ability to either mirror scrolling or jump to whatever location your collaborator is. So if Spencer jumps down to page 5 really quick, I'm up here on page, I'm going to scroll up to page 1. You've got a 120-page script, and your collaborator is like, hey, I'm on the part where Jimmy meets Jane, and they're talking about Jimmy Bob's whatever what, and you don't remember what page that's on. You can just a lot more easily click these 3 dots next to the collaborator, and you can say, go to user location. I don't know what's happened with the internet. She's not loading. Come on, man. Why are you doing this to me? By mirror scrolling, there we go. Not sure why it did that. It didn't do that to us yesterday, Spencer.
Spooky, spooky times. These
lights, man. So I can turn on mirror scrolling, or I can go to user location, either one. And as Spencer moves throughout the project, I'm going to move with him. So this is great if especially if you do like a video chat call and your collaborator's like, hey, I just want to go over the revisions that I did with you. And you can just mirror scroll them, and they'll move through the document, and you'll just chat as they move through the document, and you don't have to worry about being on the same page as them. You just let the app do it for you. And you can do that with any one of your collaborators. This contacts list here will open the list of every contact you've ever had in your time in WriterDuet. So if you're looking to add a new collaborator really quick, you can access your contacts list here. Great. Any questions about chat or comments?
I was going to make a comment about mirror scrolling. I think it's super useful, especially if you're using video chat and you want a writer to bring attention to a specific line and watch them edit it. I think about that especially with copy editing in general, like wanting to have a conversation as you're editing it together. That's a good way to get them literally and emotionally on the same page. I was telling Hannah before before I was on WriterDuet as a writer, having to send back and forth PDFs just to get notes was super frustrating, especially if it's a script like this, which is only 3.5 pages. You know, even a small change is a big change to the project. So having that in the moment kind of opportunity to make a change, mirror with them, talk about it, and have it just done really quickly. Super powerful, super, super cool. Wish I had that a long time ago when I was working on scripts that could have used that in particular.
Yeah, I mean, I think it resolves so many issues that for a long time, I think we thought of as just normal, right? You would write something in Word and you'd export it as a Word, or you'd export it as a PDF, and then you'd send it to somebody, they'd email you back, and it was just this back and forth and back and forth. But this really hits the nail on the head in terms of what the collaborative process should look like, and what it should feel like for everyone. I love that. Okay. Great part of collaborative process is the revisions and revision tracking. So you have a few different options when it comes to viewing and tracking revisions. So the first one is to view specifically a writer. So if you just want to track a writer's options, so these, am I in the right project? Oh, I'm in the wrong project. That's why I wanted to set these up new, my bad. Well, you saw already. You saw I like laid out all my cards. You saw my hand. The great thing about an imported document is it will import with this revision history, essentially, of what any revisions that happened before the import and any revisions that happened after the import. And if you are importing from somewhere that has some revision tracking, it may catch those things. But essentially, especially if you're doing like after import, if you do this view and say done, then you can see specifically just the changes that have happened so far since your import. And again, this is only going to happen specifically when you've imported a script. There's other ways to view revisions if you are writing from scratch, and we'll go over those. I'm going to close this out. So I'm going to create a revision specifically for a writer. So I'm going to say I'm going to create a revision for me. And what this means is from the time that I turn this revision on until I choose to turn it off, it's going to track any changes that I make to the script. It's not going to track anybody else's. It's only going to track mine. Now, Spencer is going to create his own revision to track his writing. And think of it kind of like a recorder. If I have record on for me, it's going to record what I do in the document. If I have record on for me and for Spencer, it's going to record what we're both doing at the same time under the same revision. The key to remember here is you have to have recording on in order to go back and see what was recorded. You have to have tracking on in order to go back and see what was being tracked during that time. So if you don't have this track selected, it's not going to remember what you did during whatever time period you made revisions. So if I close this out here and open it back up, then I can see here that Spencer has created his revision. So I'm going to turn track on for myself, and Spencer is going to turn track on for himself. And then I'm going to say done here. And so I am viewing Spencer's changes and viewing and tracking my changes. Any change that I make, I will be able to see in whatever color I selected here. And Spencer will be able to see mine as well. I will be able to see his changes in orange, and just as he will see his changes in orange. So I'm going to say she walks to the kitchen with attitude. So I can see his changes up here and my changes down here. And again, the key is I only want to track mine, because I'm recording my stuff from my end, and Spencer should be recording his stuff from his end. We'll talk about revisions when you have like a writer's group and you just want to track everybody's revisions at once. This is specifically when you just want to be able to see what each other is doing at the same time, especially in color. You can see it in color.
Another thing to note here, if you are not wanting to have those words crossed out with a line through them, you could always go back to the view and track menu and uncheck the box show deleted text. Or vice versa, if you absolutely do want to have what that looks like with the crossed out lines to get a sense of what used to be there, you can also do that too. Again, it's whatever you would like to do whenever you're ready to get a sense of the scale of things for your revisions.
So that is how you can turn on view and track revisions for individual writers. Now we're going to turn on revisions for production revisions. And so this is very standard revisions, especially for like a writer's room when everyone's going to be making revisions together, and we just need to see all of these. We don't need to identify who made what changes. So we're going to select whichever one from this menu suits our needs. You have your blue, your pink, your gold, whatever revision you're working on. And you're going to say create. And what this is going to do is it's going to add, well, because I left this add everyone to revision, yes, it's going to add everyone to that revision. So anybody collaborating on the document is automatically added to it the moment that I create it, and any time that I have view and track on, whatever they're doing is going to be viewed and tracked in that revision. And I say done. And so now if we make changes, whatever changes we need to make, maybe I remove this line. So Spencer's making changes, I'm making changes. Both of them will show up as the same thing here in this production revision. And then the last one that you can create is a custom revision. And perhaps this is like you want to make a draft to pass, and you want to be able to differentiate what items you changed from the original draft to this draft to pass. And so you can create that. You can assign a color. And then if you want it to just be you who's going to make that draft to pass, then you can say add everyone to this revision, no. Or if you want everyone who's going to be making edits to be in this revision, then you can say yes and click create. It's very similar to the production revisions, but it's just if you're looking for a really custom revision and you want to name it a particular thing to keep track of that. And then
it's important to note too, just from my end, when Hannah had made that draft to pass viewable for everyone, no matter what revision I was currently on at the moment, it brought me on to that draft to pass. So if you were doing like a personal revision, the moment Hannah said, okay, team, let's work on draft 2 today as a team, it sort of works interchangeably like the production revision would, but with the caveat that you're specifying specifically what this draft is for, whereas a production one, as you saw there in the view and track menu, specified the date, the color. It's a lot very similar to production insert slides or pages of revision. So that custom option, if once you click to add everybody, I as a writer was added on to that automatically. On the right panel there, where it says modes, my draft to pass showed up just as it does for Hannah.
And if I close this out, it should close for Hannah as well. So if I jump over to this project right here, I'm going to bring up a lot of the revisions that we've already created. So this draft to pass. Oh, we didn't make any edits in that one, my bad. Of course I would bring up that one. Of course I would. We have this, so we have the blue edits from today that we made, and we can see those there. And again, you'll always have this asterisk in the side. You can change the asterisk. I'm trying to remember which one it is. Page. Yes. No, where is the... I cannot remember it right now for the life of me, where where you can change what the asterisk is. You can change what the symbol is in the margin, and it just left me. Of course, I would choose something live to go for and not remember where it was. It's been a while since I've changed the icon in the margin. If I open some revisions, so if I want to view Spencer's and I want to view and track my own, or I could just view mine and say done. And it's going to bring up all of those revisions here. And what I love is that there's this color bar on the left side. And so you can quickly identify if that page has revisions without having to scroll all the way through it. That's a really nice element of the revision tracking. Another way to look at revisions is through the date and writers. So let's say you didn't ever do any revision tracking, but you remember that you did some edits 2 days ago and you want to remember what exactly those changes were. You don't have to have ever turned on tracking in order to pull up those changes. So I can pull up the changes from today. I can select just myself, or I can just leave it open for whatever changes happened. And I can say view. And well, I added this document today, so it's going to do that. Date and writers. Let's see if I can change the time to...
It's also important to know with that revision, the preloaded one with the imports one, if you click everything that looked an edit before the import, it's going to appear like that, where you have every single line, the color, and all those different asterisks. So don't get spooked if that ever happens to you. Just make sure you're really hyper specifying what times you want those revisions. There we go.
We made some revisions around that time. So then you can see all of these here. The other option you have is to do the accept and reject. So as I mentioned earlier, if you do the option in sharing where you require manual updates, this is the tool that you would use in tandem with that to view the changes that they've made and accept or reject them. You can still use the accept or reject feature without having set the require manual updates. So I can do this accept and reject for this time period and say review. And so I'll see, did it not change the time period? There we go. Oh, that's all of them. It'll see all of the revisions for that time period. And I can go through and I can click back. Whatever's highlighted in yellow is where I'll be. So I can say reject, I don't like that change. And I can say accept. Or I can say accept all and say I like all those changes and I keep all of them. That's what I can do there with the accept and reject. Great, any questions about revisions or revision tracking?
I'm not seeing any questions in the comments, so if you're feeling a little shy, feel free to use this time to ask some questions. But one thing I would mention there as well in the accept and reject section, if you reject something and you go, oh, dang it, I actually wanted that, you could always click the undo button to bring that revision back from the history. So nothing is permanent, or it can be permanent. It's up to you. Only administrators and editors of those projects can do accept and reject. And it's also important to note that accept and reject is a pro feature only. So you would need a pro subscription to have that accessible. Yes. But revisions in general are accessible to all.
If you've ever done anything in your document that you're like, oh, I didn't mean to do that.
So many times, so many times.
Control Z or Command Z doesn't go back far enough for you to undo that thing. You have this lovely history, open timeline, and this is literally just like a time machine. No, it's not a time machine, it's a timeline of all of the edits that you've made. So I can step back one at a time to bring back each individual change that I've made in the document. So it's always there for you to see what you've done, and you can always then jump back to the time machine and look at all of these saves that have been generated throughout the evening to check things. And I did want to cover, because we have a couple more minutes, I did want to cover some revision stuff that isn't directly related to tracking and revisions, but you make changes throughout your document and you might decide that you want to go back to something at some point, but you may not remember specifically like a line of dialogue. You change the way that an actor is going to say a line, and then you realize later on that you want to go back to its original state. So there's a couple of things that you can do in this situation. If you've already changed it and you want to go back to its previous state, so let's say, did you pay not the electric bill, the cable bill? Daniel?
Remember cable and having it?
Hey, I still know people that have cable. Don't harp on cable, people, man. It's still a booming business. You have this revert time machine-esque element. I just totally spaced in the comments option that pops up. So you can see the entire history of a particular line through the comments window. And you can do that for any single line. I think this might have had a previous version to it. And so I can pull that up and I can see that version. And if I want to go back to its original one, then I just select the 3 options and I say revert line, and it's going to jump me back to that original one. The other option you have is if you think that you want to change a line, but you're not quite sure, and you maybe want to leave it there to think about it a little bit more, or you want to see what your collaborators think about it, you can do the line alternates option under the tools menu. So go to tools and go to line alternates, and you can say create line alternate. So it's going to copy the line as it exists, and then you can go in there and you can say electric bill.
And that alternate is going to be in that sort of italicized font comparison if you're ever wanting to make sure which line you're on.
Yes, so it's going to be italicized there. It's not a parenthetical. If you want to hide those line alternates so you just don't see them, you can toggle current line alternates. Or let's say that you want to switch which one is the default line, and so you can use this Shift Command Enter, and no, so that's not Shift Command Enter, that's Option Command Enter. And then you can switch those lines. If you have it visible, this is what it looks like when you switch those lines. There you go. So that's those lines switching. So line alternates are great if you just haven't quite decided and you want to leave those options available, or you can go ahead and change it and just know that that line, the original line, lives in the history under this comment bubble. Great. Well, we have really enjoyed sharing collaboration and sharing and revisions and all of your options in the app with you tonight. If you have any questions, now is the time to shoot those questions in and let us know. We got a couple of minutes before we wrap up. We do have our knowledge base that has a ton of resources. We have our video knowledge base, which is available on YouTube under the WriterDuet page. Of course, we have our support team, which I think is pretty awesome, that you can write into at any time, and we will get back to you as soon as possible. Really, any question. It doesn't have to be about the app all the time. Sometimes if you just have a really quick writing question or a formatting question, we're all writers and artists in our own way too, so we love helping everyone create. I know that, Spencer, you posted a lot of the links to the knowledge base in the comments.
Yeah, I'm actually about to post just the main knowledge base article or the knowledge base homepage right there. So there should be a search bar at the very top. If you ever have any questions specifically about something you're running into issues with, or just general questions, just pop it on in there. And you'll be able to search away or go to our subcategories. There's things like all the different tools we covered, sharing, collaboration, which we've covered a lot tonight, layouts and display, a lot of different interesting things you can kind of dig in there, especially if you're not new to screenwriting, but you're new to using WriterDuet. It's a good way to familiarize yourself with all different things with the app.
Yeah, and we have other events going on. Last week we had our Writers Dream, which is a really great way to get in with some other writers and just practice your writing for yourself. Do some exercises. Spencer leads that one, and it's really great. We have other tips and tricks coming up in the next month and every month after that, in the foreseeable future. So please check back on the Facebook page to see any of our events. Again, thank you so much for tuning in tonight to see our tips and tricks. I'm Hannah, and this is Spencer. You have to say something, I think, Spencer, for them to see.
And I'm Spencer. Thanks so much for coming, y'all.
All right, y'all have a great night.
Bye.
Bye.